Hi, this is Gary Auden, and this is an EDUcast, Unified Communications and Collaboration, the Cloud Answer. And with me today is Lindsay Kintner, Vice President of Product Management at Tataran Telecom. So we're all on the same page and you know what you're getting into. Let's talk about what you're going to learn in this EDUcast. We're going to discuss unified communications, but we're going to discuss cloud service, and there's more than one to discuss. The business value of the cloud, the benefits of cloud communications, cloud network structures, Aeonix on Amazon Web Services, which is the product line of Tataran. And then we'll discuss some business advantages, and then we'll move into resources. So let's start off. Not everyone knows where the cloud is or what's happening with the cloud. So Lindsay, could you tell us the sort of state of the cloud right now?
Yeah, Gary. Basically, there's multiple layers of this, but the biggest one that's out there right now is what they call infrastructure as a service, whereas basically cloud providers like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon are actually leasing computing space out there. And what this is doing is having a very large and impactful influence on IT and how they're deploying things.
But I noticed on this slide here, we're talking about SMBs are really interested, and there's no BYO cloud.
Yeah, basically it's because bring your own cloud is a term that we've come up with, whereas basically where our Aeonix platform can go up on any cloud infrastructure itself, whether it be what I just mentioned or in a private cloud itself.
So let's talk about the business issues now behind going to the cloud.
Basically, anytime you buy a server, the minute that you buy a on-premise server, your costs are basically going to increase, not only from the cost of that server or leasing of it, but now the maintenance, the environment, the heating, cooling, backup power, accessibility, plus the IT infrastructure to maintain it, including personnel. Whereas all of this is cost up in the cloud is basically for pennies per hour up there. So that's why this cloud or infrastructure as a service is becoming a big business.
But infrastructure as a service isn't the only kind of cloud out there. Where would, let's say, unified communications fit in the cloud structure?
Basically, where unified communications is coming up as is more along the lines at the application layer itself, to where you can come up and deploy an application that is accessible for both on-prem customers and remote customers as well. And so UC&C basically is a service or an application that you would put in the infrastructure that's up there in the cloud.
When we look at this, is cloud service also like a managed service?
Yes, in most cases, Amazon is basically providing you the infrastructure that's up there, but unless you have a tech-savvy IT staff, there are companies that are up there that are allowing managed service, where it is basically they will take care of everything for you, from the licensing to the integration to the deployment, and that's where a managed service provider can come in.
I noticed at the very bottom of the screen we talk about OpEx and CapEx. This is a financial decision. How does that affect going to the cloud?
Well, basically, an OpEx, as far as a bookkeeping standpoint or tax standpoint, means that everything can be written off at the time of purchase, whereas a CapEx is a larger one-time purchase that gets depreciated over many years. A lot of the infrastructure or cloud services that are going out there are of a OpEx module where you pay per month as things are up and running.
Let's compare that to the traditional unified communications and contact center and its structure, comparing it to the cloud.
Well, basically, as I stated, when you have a traditional UC&C contact center, you're buying your services to go on-premise itself. So as I stated, you got the server cost and the lease, you have the environmental, so you have space, you have electrical, you have AC, you have power backup, you also have licensing or maintenance contracts. So in those cases, all of that fixed infrastructure now is going up into the cloud, and you pay for it as you use it. What you're then going to do is can then put your applications on those infrastructures, whether it be a CapEx model as the Aeonix or any sort of other applications that you have up there. So you can do your session border controller if you want to bring your SIP trunking directly into the cloud itself, or have traditional trunking at the customer premise and then backhaul it back up to the cloud as well for redundancy's sake.
But also when you go to the cloud, you change your staffing as an enterprise, don't you?
You do, because in most cases, your staffing now doesn't have to work with on-premise servers, maintenance, upgrades, downtime. You can move your infrastructure to a different server in most cases in a matter of minutes. So if you find that your server that you have deployed in the cloud no longer fits your needs and you need to go to a larger one or deploy more servers, you're talking basically minutes worth of functionality versus hours on a normal on-prem server environment.
Well, that also means that with a cloud service, you have much more versatility as a customer.
Yes, you do, because you can turn up an instance. Say, for example, you have a seasonal need and you need to have more computing power. You can turn up that instance, bring it up online, lead up for the time that you need, and turn it down once your peak environment goes away. This is also a lot of times good for developers where they need to do some collaboration and file sharing. They can do that up in the cloud as well.
Let's talk about what you can put in the cloud.
Well, basically, with our Aeonix platform, you can basically take all of our applications and put them up into the cloud into Amazon. So not only do you have your basic telephony package, but also for in a contact center, you can do your call recording that's up there. Plus, what you can also do too is you can have multiple instances of the Aeonix and its applications residing in Amazon so that you have failover and you also have redundancy not only nationwide but also globally.
Now, you have mentioned Amazon. What are the reasons you chose Amazon as the platform to put Aeonix on?
Well, the first reason that we did it was they're the market leader as far as cloud-based services. We attended an event in Las Vegas called Amazon reInvent, where they had over 19,000 people there. Amazon's #1 in the market, and their year-to-year growth is growing by over 80%. So they are definitely the market leader. One of the other reasons why we chose them is because of their breadth of their integrators. They had the 19,000 people that were there. I believe they had somewhere around 300 managed service providers, and of those they have about 50 system integrators that actually do on-site work for customers, assisting them with moving applications up to the cloud. So we chose them because of their breadth of it and leadership capabilities.
Let's talk about a pure cloud approach to this, and we'll get on to the hybrid in a minute. Would you discuss this pure cloud, please?
Sure. Basically, in a pure cloud environment, you're going to have all of the Aeonix applications up in Amazon Web Services. And the connectivity for this is either going to be a VPN connection to the office headquarters, or for remote workers and the like, could also be through a session border controller, as you see here in the diagram with Sangoma. And basically, everyone is going to access the Aeonix server and its applications either through this VPN pipe or, again, through the SBC.
But this also means you're not doing anything on premise other than installing the endpoints. So a hybrid cloud says you can do both at endpoints locally and remotely.
Right. So with the Aeonix, we can put in a clustered environment where they share a single database and pooled licensing. And through this, not only can we have our instance up in the cloud, up in Amazon AWS, but we can also have a Aeonix server running on-premise for those customers who want to have equipment on-prem as well in case there's any data interruption between the two. Doing this allows for concentration of the systems, but also with a cloud reliability as far as failover and backup.
Now, this must have a whole series of benefits. What do you think are the ones that would attract business the most?
The biggest one that I see is the ability to be able to have a redundancy in the cloud for pennies on the dollar. As far as not having to purchase additional servers for reliability or for redundancy. The additional thing that I see it as for a global company, Amazon, over 50% of their customers are overseas. And because of that, the Aeonix can actually reside in different data centers around the world. And this would allow you to have connectivity through the Amazon pipeline without having to pay the high cost of MPLS circuits between different countries.
Let's extend this and talk about the benefits for the scalable contact center.
Well, basically, as I stated before, to spin up a new server in AWS, it takes minutes. So basically, if you're growing and you have a contact center that's basically seasonal as we come into the holiday season, you could basically license the Aeonix and spin it up on a new server inside Amazon to meet those growing needs. And then as your services relax after the end of the holiday season, you can actually bring those back down into line for your trafficking.
You've spoken about
gives you much flexibility.
You've spoken about the cloud-based structure. Let's go into it in a little more detail with the next diagram. You have three different ways of looking at this.
Yeah, basically in these three examples, what we have is we have a basic configuration of on-site with a customer premise on the right side. And this would be for a single application. Now, we also have in the center, in the hosting site, whether that be on the Aeonix cloud or at a customer site, we can have two Aeonix systems running side by side, all having load sharing, single instance, and applications itself. And then on the left side here, we have survivability based on two different sites, and this could be hosting site 1 could be on-premise, and then hosting site 2 could be up in Amazon. So you can see that we can put the Aeonix in any one of these three based applications.
But now these are not hybrid. Let's talk about the hybrid approach with Aeonix.
Yeah, basically in the hybrid approach, what you actually have is you have, your normal customer structure, which is on the right, which you have your hosting application itself. But now with Amazon, you can actually have that second Aeonix system all up in the cloud itself, talking directly to an Aeonix on the server at the hosting site, whether it be on-prem or at a private system and private cloud, and basically work and act as one.
What this also means is I, as a customer, need less real estate and less technology at my own site here, then, correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
Now, you've chosen AWS, Amazon Web Services, for Aeonix. What makes it sort of the value proposition for doing it this way?
Well, basically the value proposition that they have is their breadth of their data centers across the U.S. and across the world. and being able to deploy the Aeonix. Our Aeonix platform is up on Marketplace, so a customer could actually create an account. All you need is a simple credit card to create an account on Amazon. Basically, once you do that, to launch your instance, you would then go into the Marketplace and search for Aeonix, and then it would take you 15 minutes to actually set up a system itself, deploy the license that you purchased from Tataran, and now your system is up and running up in Amazon. So within 15 minutes, you can be programming your system up there for your endpoints. This makes it very quick for disaster recovery functionality, as well as multiple site deployments.
It also would seem that it reduces the risk of doing something like this.
It does. Starting with Release 3, which will be out in Q1 of next year, we're actually going to be deploying Aeonix with a 30-day trial grace period. So customers will actually be able to download the Aeonix from the Amazon Marketplace and actually be able to use all the features and functions of it for 30 days at no charge.
Let's go on a little more about Aeonix and its advantages.
Basically, the Aeonix system is a highly virtualized system. Not only can it work in Amazon, it can also work in VMware, Hyper-V, KVM, Microsoft Azure, and Google. And basically, it allows to have a true high availability and simplistic way of deploying systems. The scalability can go from either a single server application out to 8 different nodes supporting up to 25,000 users with a full contact center within each system itself. So it allows it to be very user and easy to set up. And since we are a SIP-based system and open standards, it allows us to be very fast as far as any sort of integrations with customer infrastructure.
You've been talking sort of about the qualitative reasons for going this route, but a lot of people want to think of the quantitative reasons in the TCO. Would you talk about these 4 benefits of the TCO?
Yeah, basically with the total cost of ownership, the Aeonix with its high scalability, meaning you're not going to outgrow the system itself, means that you can start and continually expand your system. With the ability of having the open architecture means we can work directly with anyone's infrastructure itself. The high availability to add an additional Aeonix server, you don't have to duplicate end user and user licenses, you just deploy an additional Aeonix server. And with its one point of administration, you can simply maintain the Aeonix through a set of GUI web portals instead of coming up and doing difficult line programming as others.
I like your next picture because it graphically says what you can do with your servers.
Yeah, basically because of the cloud infrastructure and all the real estate that opens up, you have a lot more room for this. There was a keynote that was in Amazon re:Invent where the CIO for Time Warner basically came up and said he vacated an entire floor in downtown Manhattan because they moved everything up to Amazon AWS. So think about how much real estate he gained in an entire floor of a building in downtown Manhattan.
Now, Tataran's been in this business quite a while. Would you tell us about Tataran and its coverage?
Sure. Tataran is over 50 years old. We're part of the Shlomo group over in Israel. We've been manufacturing telecommunication systems now for over 50 years. We did a lot of OEM work, and over the last 4 years, we have taken our knowledge and product experience in the TDM world, and we've actually put it into our soft switch applications. So we have many years of qualitative experience, and we bring that forward into our new Aeonix platform.
I wanted to make sure the listeners and viewers see this page, the resources. There's several places to go to learn more about Tataran. And then there's a good article, Tataran Ready to Take UC to AWS, that just came out on No Jitter. So I would encourage you to take a look at these articles and information. And if you do have any questions, Mike Long is the guy to contact, and this is his contact information. Thank you very much, Lindsay, and I hope the viewers enjoy what we've been talking about.